My name is Anna. I'm the oldest of three sisters, and I live in Chicago, Illinois. Being the oldest came with responsibility from the very beginning. I was the dependable one, the one who stepped in when our parents were tired, the one who looked after my sisters when they wanted freedom. First, I didn't mind. Just felt like the role I was born into. My middle sister, Julia, was always the star of the show. Loud, funny, the entertainer. People loved being around her. And then there was Sophie, the youngest, who everyone spoiled. She could do no wrong and somehow consequences just slid right past her. That left me as the responsible one, the one who picked up after everyone. When I became a mother, I thought things might change. Maybe I thought my family would finally see me differently. But it didn't happen the way I hoped. I adopted my daughter, Lily, when she was just 3 years old. She had these big, curious eyes that seemed to question everything, like she wasn't sure if the world was safe yet. I'll never forget the first time she called me Mom. I cried alone in the car after dropping her off at preschool, because in that moment I knew she had chosen me and I had chosen her. From the very beginning, I promised her she would never feel unwanted, that she would always belong. But no matter how hard I tried, my family made it impossible to keep that promise. Last spring, Julia got engaged. Of course, it was a big production. Huge ring, dramatic announcement, Instagram photos with captions like, "Forever starts now." Naturally, I congratulated her. Even Lily got excited. She made Julia a card herself, cutting out little bells from construction paper, covering them with glitter. Julia called it cute, then tossed it in the backseat of her car. 2 weeks later, I found it crumpled under an empty Starbucks cup. Still, Lily was excited. She looked up dresses online, asked if she should wear her hair up or down. For weeks she quietly planned how she might be part of it. All she wanted was to belong. Then the invitation came. It was one of those thick, expensive cards with gold trim, the kind that probably costs more than my entire grocery bill. I opened it at the kitchen counter, while Lily was doing homework at the table. First it looked normal. The date, the dress code, the RSVP link. And then my eyes caught the line. Adults only. 18 plus. Strictly enforced. No exceptions. I read it again, hoping I misunderstood. But I hadn't. Lily noticed the change in my face instantly. She asked quietly, "She doesn't want me there, does she?" I said softly, "It's an 18-plus wedding." Lily paused, then asked something that shattered me. "Is it because I'm adopted?" She said it so casually, like it was already something she believed deep down. I rushed to assure her it wasn't. But in that moment, I knew exactly why she had asked. Because this wasn't the first time. My mother had once introduced her as Anna's girl, not our granddaughter. Julia referred to her as your daughter, like she was some kid from down the street. At holidays, Lily would try to help in the kitchen, but no one acknowledged her. It was small things, little things, easy to brush off unless you were the one living them. This time it was clear. They didn't see her as family. So I didn't argue. I didn't fight. I simply went online and clicked, "Not attending." No explanation, just no. The next day Julia texted, "Hey, just saw your RSVP. Is everything okay? If this is about the age thing, please understand we're being consistent with everyone. Nothing personal, right?" Not personal. Except that Lily is her niece. 17 years old, not 7. I didn't answer. Then Sophie messaged me. "Julia said you're not coming. What's going on?" Then my mom called. She never calls unless there's drama, so I braced myself. "Anna, I heard you're not going to the wedding. Is this about the age limit?" I told her, "If Lily's not invited, I'm not going. She's almost 18. She's family." My mom sighed. "Don't punish your sister over this. It's just one night." I didn't argue. I just said, "We're not going," and hung up. That should have been the end. But it wasn't. Suddenly the family group chat lit up. Messages came in one after another. "You're making drama out of nothing. Lily's not the only one not invited. Stop acting like it's just her. You always do this, Anna. You make everything about you." Even my mom sent a long message about family unity, forgiveness, sacrifice. About how we needed to keep the peace. I didn't reply. Lily quietly deleted the dress photos from her phone. She stopped talking about the wedding. She didn't cry, but that hurt even more, because it meant she wasn't surprised. She had already learned what I kept trying to ignore. So when Christmas came around and no one had apologized, I made a quiet decision. I didn't invite them. No announcement, no big blow up. Just silence. And that's what sent them into chaos. If you had asked me 10 years ago what I thought motherhood would be, I would have said birthday parties, hugs, messy crafts. I wouldn't have said protecting my child from people who claim to love her. But motherhood is different than I imagined. Lily didn't come into my life giggling and running into my arms. She was cautious, serious, with soft curls and wide brown eyes that watched everything. She didn't trust easily. She tested the world before she accepted it. And when she finally reached for my hand in a grocery store without being asked, I cried in the car for 10 minutes. My husband, David, told me, "That's the moment she chose you." And from that day forward, I chose her every single time. But my family, they never really knew how to treat her. First, I excused it. I thought maybe they just needed time. After all, Lily didn't share my eyes. She didn't carry my last name yet. She was quieter than the other kids. I told myself it was awkwardness. But over time, it became clear. It wasn't awkwardness. It was rejection. Not loud, not cruel, but steady. Quiet enough to excuse. Loud enough for Lily to feel. Sometimes it's not the big betrayals that break your heart. It's the small, repeated ones. The moments when your child notices they weren't chosen again. The times when people pretend it's nothing personal, while you watch it cut deeper every single time. In this part of the story, I'll show you how the years built up to that wedding, and how my daughter slowly realized the truth before I was ready to face it myself. When Lily was 6 years old, she told my dad she wanted to be an artist. She said it with that serious, confident tone she always had, like she had already thought about it carefully. And my dad smiled, then said, "Well, you'll need something more practical than that." It wasn't mean. It wasn't harsh. But it stuck. Lily never forgot it. When she was 8, she drew a picture of our family, me, David, and her. She proudly gave it to my mom. My mom smiled politely, said thank you, and then set it down. She never put it on the fridge like she did with the other grandkids' drawings. Later, Lily asked me why hers wasn't up there too. I didn't know what to say. The first time I truly lost my patience was at Sophie's engagement party. Lily was 12 at the time. Sophie had invited us with a mass text. No personal message, no warm, "Can't wait to see you." Just a quick group text with the time and place. I told myself, this is how we fix it. We keep showing up. We keep proving Lily belongs. So we went. Lily wore a pale blue dress with little silver flats she had picked out herself. She was nervous, asking me over and over, "Do I look okay? Can I stay close to you at the party?" When we arrived, Sophie gave me a tight smile and a quick hi, then turned to hug the next person. She didn't even look at Lily. No compliment. No, "You've grown so much." Nothing. Just air. We stayed for maybe 20 minutes before leaving. On the way home, Lily said quietly, "I don't think she likes me." I tried to reassure her. I said, "She just doesn't know you very well yet." But Lily answered, "She's had 10 years. And I didn't have a response to that. The truth was, I don't think my family ever accepted Lily as permanent. Deep down, it was like they thought one day I'd have a real child of my own, and Lily would just be a sweet memory, like she was temporary, like she didn't really count. They never said it out loud. They didn't have to. When Lily turned 16, she wanted her birthday party to be different. She didn't ask for music or loud games. She wanted to rent a room at the community center and display her paintings. She called it her art show birthday. She made the invitations herself, colorful and creative, and sent them out to family, friends, and teachers. Sophie didn't come. Julia didn't come. My parents arrived 30 minutes late, carrying a generic card that said, "To a sweet girl," with a $20 bill tucked inside. No personal message. No thought. Lily thanked them anyway because she's always polite. Afterward, she quietly helped clean up, packed her canvases, and carried them to the car. But later that night, after we were home and the dishes were washed, I found one of her sketches left behind on the table. It was a drawing of the three of us, her, me, and David, standing at her party. But our faces were blank. That sketch broke me more than anything else. Not because of the card, not because of the late arrival, but because Lily wasn't surprised anymore. She wasn't hurt in the same way. She just expected it. And that terrified me. So when Julia's wedding invitation came with that 18+ rule, and no one thought to make an exception for their own niece, I realized, This was never going to change. I didn't beg. I didn't argue. I simply told Lily we weren't going. She didn't shed a tear. She just nodded and said, "Okay." Later that night, she asked me, "Do you think they even realized we didn't go?" I told her yes, even though deep down I wasn't so sure. But she needed to feel like she mattered, even if they didn't act like it. While the wedding weekend unfolded, our house was calm. David made French toast for breakfast. Lily painted in the sunroom. I finally finished a book I'd been trying to read for months. It wasn't rebellion. It wasn't protest. It was just peace. And honestly, at first it felt strange. That silence showed me just how much noise I'd been living with all those years. I didn't miss the wedding. I didn't wonder what flowers they chose or whether the cake turned out. I thought only about Lily. For so long, she searched for their approval at every gathering, every holiday. And little by little, they trained her not to expect it. That's when I thought about Christmas. For years, I had hosted. It was tradition. I cleaned, I cooked, I decorated, and everyone else just showed up. I did it out of duty, not joy. But this year, after the wedding, I decided no. No extra chairs. No feast. No pretending. In early December, David asked, "Should I order the folding chairs like always?" I shook my head. Not this year. No extra seats. He nodded. He didn't push for an explanation. Lily didn't either. A week later, the family group chat lit up. "Who's bringing dessert this year? Are we still coming over Christmas Eve?" I ignored the messages. Let the notifications pile up. I never made an announcement. I never declared I was done. I just stayed silent. And that silence spoke louder than anything I could have said. By mid-December, the tone of their messages shifted. Sophie typed, "Anna, are we still on for Christmas Eve dinner? Just tell me what to bring." Then Julia chimed in, "We'll be 5 again. Let me know if Lily wants something specific this year. If she's even going to show up." That last line nearly shattered me. If she's even going to show up. As if Lily were the problem. As if she were the reason everything fell apart. And for the first time in years, I didn't reply. I didn't scrub the house spotless. I didn't order a roast. I didn't pull the dining table leaf from the garage. When my silence held, the phone calls started. First my mom. Then Sophie. Then Julia. Finally, my dad left a voicemail. "Anna, we just want to know what's happening. Your mother's upset. It's not too late to do the right thing." The right thing. As if letting them exclude my daughter was moral. As if feeding them dinner could erase the wounds they never even acknowledged. So that year, no one came over. Instead, David and I cooked lasagna in our pajamas while Lily shaped sugar cookies. They crumbled at the edges but were sweet all the same. We stayed in, watched movies, opened presents early, and laughed harder than we had in months. And for once, Christmas felt like home. No walking on eggshells. No translating pointed remarks. No pretending. Just us. When people realize their control over you is slipping, they don't apologize. They don't self-reflect. They double down. They push harder. And suddenly your peace becomes a threat. That's what happened after I skipped the wedding and broke Christmas tradition. What started as silence quickly turned into guilt, manipulation, and unexpected visits that forced me to finally draw a line my family never thought I'd have the strength to draw. The first week of January was quiet. Too quiet. After years of constant group texts, planning dinners, juggling obligations, suddenly nothing. No calls. No messages. No Happy New Year. For a moment, I thought maybe they had gotten the hint. Maybe my silence spoke for itself. But I should have known better. By mid-January, Julia showed up at my doorstep. I opened the door to find her standing there in a fitted coat, holding a Starbucks cup like she owned the place. She didn't ask to come in. She just walked past me, sat on the couch, and sighed like she was exhausted from carrying my burden. "You can't just cut everyone off like this, Anna," she started. I stayed by the doorway. Calm. Quiet. Julia sipped her latte before continuing. "You embarrassed the whole family by skipping my wedding. And Christmas? Do you even realize what you put Mom through?" I blinked. "You didn't invite Lily to your wedding." Her face hardened. "It wasn't personal. That was the rule. You should have respected it." I tilted my head. "Respect? You're asking me to respect a rule that erased my daughter from her own family." Julia rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. "She's 17, Anna. She'll live. Weddings aren't about kids. They're about the couple. I felt my chest tighten, but I didn't let it show. She's not just a kid. She's family. She's my daughter. For a moment, Julia didn't speak. She just sipped her coffee, staring at me like I was the unreasonable one. Finally, she stood up, smoothed her coat, and said, "You're making a mistake, and Mom and Dad won't forgive this." She left without saying goodbye. That night, I told Lily about it. I didn't want to burden her, but she had a way of noticing when something weighed on me. She listened quietly, then asked, "Do you think they'll ever see me the way you do?" I shook my head slowly. "Probably not. But that's their loss, not yours." And for the first time, I truly believed it. By February, my parents tried a different tactic. Guilt. My mom called one evening, her voice already on the verge of tears. "Anna, you've always been the strong one, the dependable one. I don't understand why you're punishing us like this." I sat at the kitchen counter, the phone pressed to my ear, staring at Lily's unfinished painting propped against the wall. "I'm not punishing anyone," I said quietly. My mom sniffled. "Then come back. Host Easter like you always do. Show everyone you're still part of this family." I took a breath. Hosting holidays doesn't make me part of a family. Respect does. Inclusion does. Her tone shifted. Sharper now. "You've changed, Anna. You used to hold us together. Now you're tearing us apart." I closed my eyes. "I'm not tearing anything apart. I'm just refusing to pretend anymore." She hung up. That was the last time she called for weeks. But then came Sophie. She didn't call. She didn't text. She showed up at Lily's school. Yes, you heard that right. One afternoon, I pulled up in the carpool line, and Lily slid into the passenger seat looking pale. "What's wrong?" I asked immediately. She hesitated before saying, "Aunt Sophie came today. She was volunteering in the office, I guess. She asked me if I missed Christmas with everyone." My grip tightened on the steering wheel. "And what did you say?" Lily looked down. "I just said we had a good Christmas." She smiled and said, "That's cute. But it's not the same without family, is it?" My stomach dropped. I wanted to storm into that school, demand answers, shout from the rooftops. But instead, I swallowed the anger, smiled at Lily, and said, "She's wrong. We are family. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." But inside I was done. Done with subtle digs. Done with manipulation. Done with pretending this was anything but cruelty wrapped in family labels. March rolled around, and with it the final straw. It was a Saturday morning when David called from work. His voice was tight, controlled. "Claire," he said slowly, "your dad just showed up at the store. He told me I need to get you in line before you ruin the family completely." I froze. "He said what?" David exhaled heavily. "He told me you're poisoning Lily against everyone. And if I don't step in, there will be consequences." "Consequences?" I repeated, my voice shaking with disbelief. "His word, not mine," David said. "I told him he was out of line." He stormed out. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the grain in the wood, my hands trembling. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just about holidays or invitations anymore. This was about control. About power. About their refusal to accept that Lily and I had a life that didn't revolve around their approval. I swallowed the anger, smiled at Lily, and said, "She's wrong. We are family. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." But inside I was done. Done with subtle digs. Done with manipulation. Done with pretending this was anything but cruelty wrapped in family labels. March rolled around, and with it the final straw. It was a Saturday morning when David called from work. His voice was tight, controlled. "Claire," he said slowly, "your dad just showed up at the store. He told me I need to get you in line before you ruin the family completely." I froze. "He said what?" David exhaled heavily. "He told me you're poisoning Lily against everyone. And if I don't step in, there will be consequences." "Consequences?" I repeated, my voice shaking with disbelief. "His word, not mine," David said. "I told him he was out of line." He stormed out. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the grain in the wood, my hands trembling. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just about holidays or invitations anymore. This was about control. About power. About their refusal to accept that Lily and I had a life that didn't revolve around their approval. So I made a decision. That Sunday, I gathered every family photo, every keepsake, every framed picture my parents had given me over the years. I placed them carefully in a box. When Lily noticed, she asked softly, "What are you doing?" I smiled gently. "Making space." She nodded. She didn't ask more. The next day, I drove to my parents' house. I didn't go inside. I just left the box on their porch with a note tucked on top. It said, "I am no longer available to play the role you've written for me. Lily is not invisible. She is my daughter. My family. If you can't respect that, then there's nothing left for us to talk about." I rang the doorbell, walked back to my car, and drove away. No dramatic confrontation. No screaming match. Just a quiet return of everything that tied me to them. The silence that followed was different this time. It wasn't heavy. It wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. It was freedom. Lily noticed it too. One evening, while we were painting side by side at the dining table, she said, "It feels lighter in the house now." I smiled. That's because it is. We didn't need their approval. We didn't need their invitations. We didn't need their version of family. We had our own. And for the first time in years, I realized I wasn't scared of losing them anymore. Because somewhere along the way, I had already lost them. What I gained instead was peace. When people lose control of you, they don't just let you go. They reach back one more time. They twist, they tug, they threaten, hoping fear will pull you into place again. My family's final attempt wasn't subtle. It was public. It was humiliating. But it was also the moment I knew with absolute clarity that I had done the right thing walking away. April came and went in silence. The box I had left on their porch was never returned, never acknowledged. A part of me thought maybe, just maybe, they had finally accepted it. But May was different. It started with whispers from mutual friends. A woman I knew from church pulled me aside one Sunday. "Claire," she said carefully, "your mom's been saying some things. About you. About Lily." I raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" She hesitated before answering. "That you've isolated yourself. That you're unstable. That Lily's suffering because of your choices." I felt my jaw tighten, but I forced a smile. "Thank you for telling me." On the drive home, I stared at the road, my hands gripping the wheel. This wasn't just private tension anymore. They were rewriting the story for everyone else to hear. And I wasn't about to let my daughter's name be dragged through the mud. The breaking point came in June. It was a Saturday afternoon. David, Lily, and I were at the park, simple, quiet, enjoying the sun, when my phone buzzed. A message from Sophie. It wasn't long. Just a single sentence that made my stomach drop. "Family meeting tonight. 7 p.m. at Mom's. Be there." I didn't respond. But at 6:45, my parents' SUV pulled into our driveway. And out they came, Mom, Dad, Julia, Sophie, marching up like they owned the place. David stepped outside before I could, his posture protective. "What's going on?" he asked. "We're here to talk to Anna," my dad said sharply. "This nonsense has gone on long enough." I walked out onto the porch, calm but steady. "You don't get to show up here uninvited." Julia crossed her arms. "You've embarrassed us enough. We're fixing this now." "Fixing what?" I asked. Dad's voice boomed. "The family doesn't revolve around you. You don't get to rewrite the rules." I looked him dead in the eye. I never tried to rewrite them. I just refused to follow ones that erased my daughter. Mom's voice broke through, shrill and desperate. "She's a child. You've made this bigger than it ever had to be." I shook my head slowly. "No. You made it bigger when you told my daughter she wasn't welcome. You made it bigger when you lied to the world about me. You made it bigger when you decided control mattered more than love." For a moment, silence. Then Sophie sneered. "You're pathetic, Anna. You think you're strong, but really you're just bitter." I felt Lily's hand slip into mine. She had come out quietly behind me, standing tall despite the tension. Her voice was steady when she spoke. "No, Aunt Sophie. My mom's not bitter. She's brave." The air went still. My dad's face flushed red, but he didn't say another word. Finally, David stepped forward, his tone firm. "This conversation is over. Leave. Now." They hesitated, angry, shocked, scrambling for control, but one by one they turned and walked back to the SUV. No hugs. No apologies. No goodbyes. Just silence. And as their car pulled away, I felt something lift off my chest. Final. Irrevocable. The last tie had been cut. That night, Lily sat at the edge of my bed. "Do you think they'll ever change?" she asked softly. I thought about it. About years of sacrifice, of keeping the peace, of playing the role they had written for me. And then I shook my head. Maybe. Maybe not. But it doesn't matter anymore. Because we don't need them to. She leaned against me, her head on my shoulder. "I'm glad you chose us." I wrapped my arm around her. "I'll always choose us." Months passed. Summer melted into fall. Our life grew quieter but also fuller. We painted more. We laughed more. David and I started hosting dinners, not for extended family, but for friends who treated us like family. People who showed up, who respected boundaries, who celebrated Lily's milestones without conditions. And one day, while hanging a new painting of Lily's in the living room, I realized something. The house didn't feel empty without my parents' photos. It didn't feel lacking without forced traditions. It felt free. It felt like home. When people show you who they are, believe them. Family isn't about blood. It isn't about obligation. It isn't about sacrificing your child's dignity just to keep the peace. Family is about love, about respect, about showing up in ways that heal, not harm. My relatives made their choice. They chose control, image, and pride. And I made mine. I chose my daughter. And I would choose her 1,000 times again. So if you've ever been made to feel small, invisible, or unworthy in the very place you should have felt safest, remember this. Walking away isn't weakness. It's strength. It's reclaiming your peace. And sometimes it's the bravest thing you'll ever do.